You just had to be there.
Yeah.
He got some memories, this fella, right?
He's got some good memories. And with that, we'll get started on the next episode of the Koori Knockout podcast. Tommy Tucker finally shut up for 2 minutes so we could have a yarn here and get this ball rolling. We're joined today by my favourite rapper,
Street Warrior.
my favourite street warrior. Second favourite street warrior. Abie Wright.
He's in the top three.
He's in the top warrior. He's in the top three.
Thanks for having me, Georgie.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad that we finally got you down here, bro. We've been trying to get it rolling, and we'd love to get the story of the Yowis, of the Newcastle history in the knockout. Newcastle's always had such a strong history in the knockout, and you've also had a very strong history in the knockout as well, and love to hear some stories from you over the years, and even just off camera, just then we had a few get rolling. That's why we've got to remember to press record quicker, because the stories start rolling before we even get into it. But thanks for coming down and sharing a bit for what you've got. Tell us some yarns.
No, thanks for having me. We've been talking about linking up for a while and coming on and having a chat and yarn a little bit about history and knockout history, and a lot of the old fellas are all sort of gone on now, and I suppose it's up to a lot of us fellas who are middle aged now and getting to that later end of our lives to share a little bit of knowledge that we've got from over the years. And remember, as being ball boys in that over the years, I was fortunate to be around the knockouts since I was born. Similar to you guys, coming from the Newcastle area, born and bred there, but family connections up in New England tablelands with Dino and that, and obviously with you fellas out Gomeroi way, that Hunter and straight out onto the plains country. So it was really good. To come from a family that's and community that's been strong in the knockouts since its inception. I think Newcastle, we started, I think it was 78, Newcastle in the early days. They first went in there, but my old man always talked about the knockouts. He used to played for Nile, and when he was young, he used to live in Aberdeen. He'd get the telegram and to head and go and play with Nile and his dad's people, and he also played for Kempsey, his uncle Victor Wright, and so he was in the early days playing in those early knockouts when they first started in the 70s.
So run that one back again. He got the telegram to come and have a run.
Yeah. He talked about it. He was living in Aberdeen at the time, so he was mucking up. He was down here living in Sydney, and he got sent back up north up to Aberdeen. He was living there playing footy up there when he was a young fella. I think he was 17 playing A grade up there. That was when the country comps were strong, and he used to get the telegrams. So he'd wait for the telegram to be sent, and as soon as he got it, he knew to jump on the train and head down, and so he played with two teams, Narwhal, and he played with Dino's uncles, and
Some of these young fellas wouldn't even know what a telegram is.
Is that like an email or what?
The last episode we talked about how the evolution of social media and everything, you know who you're playing, when you're playing, and everything that comes with it. But we're rolling back the clock there, talking about getting a telegram to come and have a run. It's sort of like a predates a fax, eh? And a fax predates a email.
Did the stork take it there, or
That's freaky.
Who brought
That's a freaky yarn.
little paper boy?
And then what was your first memory of the knockout? Your first knockout that you remember going to?
Kempsey, when I was little. My dad wasn't playing then. He was drunk. He was drinking. So he was on the sideline, and we were staying away from him. So Mum, I remember him drunk on the sideline. But that was when alcohol was around at that time, but he cleaned his act up, Dad, and got involved and helped build Newcastle up. So that was in early days of Newcastle All Blacks. Newcastle All Blacks was when all the Newcastle sides were together. I think I remember that knockout in Kempsey, and then we ended up I was ball boy and mascot for Newcastle All Blacks for years. Me and Andrew Anderson and some other fellas from Newcastle over the years, Malcolm Smith and Edward and that. And I remember Edward used to run, had the emu as a mascot on his back, who was an emu, and run around the field and all that. So, but that was the early days of Newcastle. We'll call Newcastle All Blacks at the time, and then they changed to Newcastle Emus over the years, and then I think we ended up. Well, I was ball boy for the lads, and so I saw some wonderful games and teams, and that was when Walgett was big and Narwhal was big, and some good rivalries there between Newcastle and Narwhal over the years, and Dino's uncles and that were wonderful players. I remember watching them play, and I was a ball boy, and Clayton Cup winners, and my old man always talked about the Narwhal players and Derek Moran being the greatest knockout player he's ever seen.
Wow.
Him, but also Lee Combo. Lee Combo was, Dad reckons he was the best. He was better than Wally Lewis. He was better than, he played with the Redfern All Blacks and it's young Regan Cars pop. So, Lee Combo, he was one of the greatest. And the old fella, he used to get real embarrassed when my old man used to say to him, Lee, you're the greatest. And he'd get, but Dad said he was a freak, absolute freak. He used to, I think it was the early days, the 70s when Redfern won all those knockouts. He reckons it was off the back of Lee. It was brilliant. So,
Good knowledge here.
That's in that generation, right, of brilliant blackfella footballers that should have been playing in the NRL. You know, they talk about Uncle Deck up there in Armidale, and my dad says he's the greatest footballer he's ever seen. And you know, funny thing with Narwhal, they actually won a knockout without him. They had to leave him out of the team.
Yeah.
My dad said that he was that good that he goes, because we didn't have the quality of players in the side in '86 it was. He goes, we had to have workers in the side. He said, I couldn't put him in there because if I put him in there, he'd do things that easy that the rest of them would forget about that. They could work hard, and it'd sort of make a mockery of that. You don't need to be busting your gut to do that. You'll just go out there and I'll just score 3 tries for you. So the dad knew the mentality had to be right, and he was a brilliant player. I've heard the stories about Lee Combo that they talk about. People brag about him everywhere where you go, and he must have been a brilliant player. But it was that generation of players that you do feel for, because they were the pioneers that they never got to play in NRL. They never got noticed in rep teams. Uncle Bob Morgan, he was telling me about Mark Wright from Koori.
Yeah.
Reckons he was one of the most brilliant footballers that he'd ever seen when he came to the knockout and first come down from Koori. And you can imagine Loppy McGrady, the likes of them old fellas that never got a chance. And they were the older ones. You go back in time, and Uncle Eddie Vale and Uncle Vic and all them, the players, they are amazing. Because I want to talk about Newcastle there. You started with that there. The early memories of Newcastle coming together. What did it feel like in that town? Because there were a lot of people in Newcastle back then were probably moving into Newcastle for the first time, coming from country towns.
Yeah.
It's galvanised that community up there, hasn't it? It all starts from that. That's how you all come together in many different ways.
Well, Newcastle is a big resettlement area. So traditionally, the old people, they got hunted out of there, and they got hunted out of Newcastle and the Hunter Valley. So, but what we've found is a lot of people that were hunted out of there, you'll find a lot of our mob that live there now, we got an ancestor that originally come from there. So we're finding grannies and all that originally come from there. And for some reason, a lot of us all seem to go back there. It was some reason, a lot of our people end up going back there in the Hunter and Newcastle and that. So, but Newcastle was really big in the 70s. That's when everything started happening in Newcastle with our AMS and our land councils and the big shift and the transformation, I suppose, in New South Wales of people being conscious and wanting more for our people. And Newcastle was the same. So our people were part of a lot of that early rights movement, the black rights. And then as part of that, we started our footy club. There were some our elders there, Uncle Bill Smith, Uncle George Griffiths, Uncle Griffo, my mum's father, Dad, Uncle Rick Griffiths, Uncle Kevin Anderson, a lot of those old fellas, Uncle Sucker Holton from Kempsey. So there was a lot of them old fellas that were really hands-on. And a lot of the lads were different people were in Newcastle. They were there for TAFE. There's a big crew of Moree lads that were down there. They were actually become great footballers over the years. Paulie Brett, he was only 16, and Sambo Sampson and Clive Suey and Uncle Norm Brennan, a lot of those old followers, and then you had the Kempsey followers as well. AJ Davis's grandfather, Uncle Greg Holton, a lot of those old followers, they all come down and they were in Newcastle, they were working. So Uncle Bill and Uncle Bob Smith had the Aboriginal Railway Company. They were the first Aboriginal company in Australia, and they were laying track right across the state. And so they had jobs there, and they were just sending word across New South Wales, come to Newcastle or your mob if you just need jobs, and we're down here and we can give you work. So a lot of people come from Burke, out northwest Walgett, up the coast, right up as far as the north coast as Koori and Grafton, and all, they come all the way down. So it was a big influx of Aboriginal people in the 70s into Newcastle, and work opportunities. There was better hospitals and stuff like that compared to the smaller country towns, and our people, really thrived. They started the All Blacks there, and I think it was 77 or 78, and we had to build a culture, and that's what they talked about a lot. People coming from Armidale, a lot of us had family connections there, and Moree and Kempsey and Walgett and Burke and different places, Wilcannia. So we had to build our own culture, and that's what the old people were really conscious of. And because a lot of our mobs used to go and cheer for where they come from, but then we had to build our own thing, and that's what we did. So and it took us a long time for people to turn up there and all support Newcastle, because they'd always seem to go back to where they were at and cheer for the knockout teams they come from, which is fair enough. But we had to build a culture, and that's what we did, and that pride in Newcastle, and we're really proud of our Newcastle sides where we're at now, and we've probably been some of the most successful town maybe in the last 10 years, I reckon, as far as knockouts are concerned. NAB, Yowis, Minda we've all been up there around the semis and winning a few knockouts, but it took us a long time to get to where we're at, and we took a lot of beatings over the years, and I remember Newcastle were always everyone used to laugh about us when I was a kid. Newcastle teams would always get knocked out first game, and that was a running joke in the knockouts, and we all took that on, and that was one motivating factor for us to get to where we're at now. We knew we had to actually build that professionalism and take it to the next level if we were going to be respected by the rest of the state, and that's what we did as Newcastle, all of our teams, and professionalism comes with it as well. And the old adage of black followers, you can't do this, or you turn up late, or all of the old stereotypes. We didn't want to take those stereotypes on. We wanted to make sure that we had to be professional and take it to the next level if we were going to win the knockout, and we were fortunate to win it in 87. We still got some old fellas that are still around. Are a great generation of Newcastle players in Newcastle comp. And then from there, I think Newcastle Yowis were the first to split away from the Newcastle Emus NAB. I think we started in 93, and Henson Park, that was our first year. We got beaten first game by Koori United. Uncle Moose was coaching Koori United at the time. Uncle Rick Rivers was coaching us at the time, as my mum's brother. That was before Minda River come into the comp. So, that was our first year, Newcastle Yowis, 93, down here. And then, so we were the first to break away from the other family members. So we're all the Newcastle teams, we're all mob. So all our grandparents are all...
What a rivalry. Friendly, whatever, what a rivalry, one way or another.
Because go back a step, that 87 team, now they won up in Armidale. I was a ball boy.
Yeah.
And I remember when they won that knockout Newcastle. And obviously a lot of connections there, and Gloria was down there, so Uncle Bill was there, and Uncle Jimmy, so all the people there, we all knew who they were, and they were all connected to that Armidale mob. So what was the standouts for you there in terms of players that you can remember, because you would have been keen for?
I was ball boy too for Newcastle, so I remember staying at the back of Uncle Link's house in the caravan.
Oh, yeah.
So we were up there, and so we were pretty well. We were staying at family's house.
Well, Uncle Link would have been running now and then.
Uncle Link was we were staying at his house as my dad's uncle, but all we heard was no one. It was like we were like, even as kids, I could feel the tension in the house. You Newcastle people in the house, but that was like, it was our, yeah. And we get a feed, and it'll be like, oh, JK's going to do this, JK's going to do that to all you Newcastle fellas, and Gardo's going to do this. And I remember
All
as
those
kids,
players.
so Dad and his uncle were rowing, but skiting up about no one. But that was that community, and that's how serious we take the knockout, our families and communities. And it's like, it splits families apart, but a lot of us Newcastle mob, the old people left Armidale years ago in Walbrook and went down there. They walked down, they followed the river straight down the Hunter, and they moved down there. And
Sometimes that little weekend is the only time the mobs don't talk.
Yeah.
We've had it before when my dad's ran the Bathurst Ringedine side.
Yeah.
And his brother Jeep, Uncle Jeep, who started knockout with all the uncles and all the, back in the early, when it started, he was running Walgett.
yeah,
BAC or WA, whatever, what were we called back then? It was in Burke.
I think both of them were there.
And they reckoned that Uncle Jeep and Dad had a bet, and they said 500 who was going to win, and Ringedine ended up winning the game. It was like 8-0, one of the biggest and best games you'll ever seen. But it splits the family there for about a day.
yeah.
Or two.
The best I've ever heard around that is Narrandera is one of the most small towns, right?
We sunk
They
them
have
first round
three-
too, don't worry.
They'd have 3 sides in Narrandera, but it was 3 brothers, the Simpson brothers, that ran, Bear, Charlie and Kevin, ran 3 different Narrandera sides at one stage at the knockout. They were running 3 different teams. That's what strange I was saying. But going back to that Newcastle side,
Yeah.
some of the standout players, because there were some really good, tough footballers there
there was
that were
great
about to make their
footballers.
mark on it.
But I remember Newcastle was always looking up to Narwhal all the time because of we're all family. And Narwhal used to have the wood on Newcastle. So Narwhal would always beat Newcastle, and you can guarantee as soon as they were all used to party on with each other and all that. We go family, like funerals and stuff like that. And it always turned into a rivalry. And then I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to do that. And then they'd all, but as soon as they got on the field, it was just punching on, like with Uncle Gardo and Dean's dad and all those old fellas and all the Newcastle fellas, old Shillo and Bobby Smith and because we'd all be back and forwards all year round at Armidale and Newcastle, and it was just that rivalry non-stop because we're all family. So it was siblings versus siblings and cousins versus uncles and nephews and aunties round with nieces on the sidelines and all that sort of stuff.
So true.
We saw the modern day one when NAB played against Armidale, like without the Briggs and uncles, like that's your.
Well,
There's your
Henson Park, remember that? And when you did split to the Yowis, and they played Narwhal over there, and that was a bloodbath. That was
Yeah.
fights
Yeah.
all through that team.
Yeah, non-stop. So it's just passion. It's family, and it's 12 months of build-up tension. But it's kind of like, but they're your family too. You're sitting around and yarning. You're mourning together because when someone passes away in the family, it's your auntie or it's your uncle and cousin, and it's like we all love each other. But when it comes to knockouts, it's there's a rivalry that's just it's good. It's good for family. It's good for community, and this type of stuff here. We're all so passionate about knockouts, and it's transgenerational too, because this passion and that's been passed on from our fathers and our uncles and grandfathers, and it's just good for family and community, and that's the difference. I think that why we're so passionate about who we are and our connection to where we come from.
Well, cuz we talked about the bloodbath between Narwhal and Vic. Talk about when you got sent off against Narwhal back in the days when you got sent off there.
Oh, that was a wild one. I
Up
think
in Armidale.
we had some Muggle
grand
boys.
final.
Nah,
Semis.
semis.
Yeah, one of them, a big game.
I remember that we played before that and got beat by
He was in
It was a
Armidale.
big game, and
Turtle Divers.
Narwhal went up against it, and every time we run into Abe, like, he's always real calm and real good and real friendly, like inviting in. And then we played him, and he turned into a nutcase on the field, and he got sent off. Dennis got sent off. The boys got in a big brawl and
All brawling with the
Have
cousins
butts and
stuff.
bites. And
Yeah, I think it was
Blakey there.
Yeah, Lakey was there. All
But you were
lads.
building that side, eh? You were building up there, and like you said, you're
Yeah.
taking it serious. And it was all the Newcastle boys that were sort of down there living. Lakey was there,
Yeah.
and Johnny Newman, I think, played a few
Jules,
years with us.
Kimmy. Brook Mills. There was heaps of the boys there. We had a good crew there at the time, and we were building something. I think we were getting to the quarters and the semis, but I think that day there, and it had to be restarted, that game, because something happened. So we ended up scoring, we scored, and they had to restart the game. And then Dino ended up just carving us. This fella, he was just running on the edges, and he was running over. I'm not going to say the lad's name, but he was a speed bump. And what
Dino
Dino,
done that to everyone, so it's a bit of a privilege, really.
Dino was in his prime at that time. Like
21, 22, right?
no one could stop him. And he was fast, and he was built, he was strong, and he was powerful.
Yeah, but
some of my favourite memories, was when we were young, we used to go down to Gunnedah. They'd have this big touch football carnival down there. And we'd all go down there as young Armidale boys, and sort of back in those days, I think our families just, a white fella would come and pick us up, and we'd all just go, and we wouldn't have no one down there to really look after us, you know what I mean? We're just young boys wandering around, always starving, always hungry, no one had any money. And Uncle Jimmy would always come in and grab us all the time, no matter where it was. And he'd take us into the tent, the Yarntine tent, and he'd food there, and then he'd start pointing out, this is your cousin over here. And he'd always grab Wok and say, this is your cousin, this fella here. And that's how we met the boys, was going to those carnivals. So, and Uncle Jimmy would sit there with us, and one of our little favourite things was tell you all his family history. And your head would be spinning, because in the way that he would do it, and this is the way I loved how he used to say it, he goes, well, you know old Auntie Rita and Auntie Gloria and all this, and you just sit there and you go, yeah, and he goes, well, you know their brother. Well, they had a brother, and he moved down south, and he goes, and he had 3 kids. You know that Simon kid over there? Well, he had 3 kids to them, and, well, that's a different story. That's what he used to say. That's a different story. And you just hear, and he'd be telling you all this history of, because he knew all the family so well, and that connection, and we were all unaware of it at that time. You know, we were living in our town. We just thought we were related to everyone in town, but he'd take us through it all, and that's how we met the boys, and we got this relationship with them. We found out we're all cousins and all related, and it led to obviously the rivalry on the football field, but also that respect and connection that still exists between the two communities, and it was really special, you know.
Yeah, well, we'd go to, that's the thing, like, that makes you different, like, as Aboriginal community. It's kind of like, I was talking to someone about it the other day. Someone called me Unc, and someone said, how come he calls you Unc? And I said, oh, well, I shared a bit of knowledge about his family and my family, and it was just that information that's been passed on. And someone said, well, how do you know that? Well, I said, well, I make a connection. It's the first thing we do as blackfellas. Who are you? Where are you from? Oh, you know this person. Oh, you know that person? We make that connection. And I said, that's what Aboriginal community and families are about, connection. And as soon as we make a connection with someone, and it's kind of like, well, he's got knowledge about that family, and someone said, how do you know all these family names and where they're from? And I said, well, that's growing up in the Aboriginal community. The more knowledge you attain and retain is how much respect you have in the community. And I've been brought up with that, like Dino was saying, and you guys obviously have as well, because you wouldn't be in leadership roles in your knockout teams if you weren't. And that's that knowledge of knowing community, and you end up, you don't choose it, it chooses you, that respect.
Well, you've been built in it. You know, our families will just give us that knowledge to connect, give us that knowledge to appreciate, give us that knowledge to, you know, be there for that person. So, you know, whatever that is with football, you play someone, you win, you lose, then you stand by them.
Yeah.
You just keep, you know, it's just what they've taught us.
Yeah.
You got amazing football people around you up there, all your cousins. Like I was on the Griffith side, and Ronnie, one of the best football brains we've got. So he must have got a lot from his father. Tell us about them as football men. Some of your uncles, your cousin Malcolm and Edward were extraordinary young players as young fellas. Tell us about some of the footballers and the people you looked up to. And Ronnie's father, Ronnie talks a lot about Uncle Rick. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Uncle Rick, Ronnie Griffiths' dad, he's All-Stars coach now. His dad would be so grateful and proud of where he's at. He's done some wonderful things over the last couple of years, or not just the last couple of years, but it's been a long journey for Ron. He's coached since he hung his footy boots up. He's built his way right up to where he's at now. He's over at the Warriors coaching over there, and he's All-Stars coach as well. So, but his dad was phenomenal. His dad created the Aboriginal football clinics over the years, New South Wales Aboriginal Rugby League camps. So his dad used to run those camps over at Newcastle University. So they'd have probably 100 Aboriginal kids from all over New South Wales, and invited them all to Newcastle University, and we'd all be there for like 3 or 4 days, and we'd have Uncle Rick would organise all the best coaches, and he'd have New South Wales Rugby League, Australian Rugby League involved, and he had some wonderful players over the years that come out of those clinics. So he ran those for about 10 years. So a lot of the Aboriginal players who played NRL went through those clinics, and
cool.
Like you'll have your Andrew Walkers, you'll have the McGrady's, you have all the best rugby league players. David Peachy went through there. That whole generation, from the 80s and the 90s, a lot of those boys all come through those football clinics. So Ronnie come from a father who was really strong in that. My dad was there in support. There was a lot of other older men that were involved. Uncle Victor Wright, Uncle Royden Griffin. There was a lot of the old fellas from up the coast. Uncle Pat Duro. There was old Uncle Larper Stewart. A lot of old men. Your old fellas were there. Walgett fellas, Uncle Jeep, all of those old fellas. They were all involved with Uncle Bob Morgan. A lot of the old Redfern, Larper fellas, South Coast. Everyone.
Got to get that back, eh?
100%.
Like
100%.
Just for those young boys who didn't get the coaching that the kids in the city got, and it was having access to all the best training that the clubs have. Uncle Rick actually, he had that vision and foresight in the early 80s to do that, and now we're actually starting to see the fruits of that hard labour. And I don't think people realise things don't just happen. People have to put hard work in, and for us to have all-stars and all that, I remember sitting down and listening to them talk about, imagine if we had our own NRL team in, and we could do this and have representative teams. Like these conversations were had in the 80s. I remember sitting down, them sitting around the table talking about these things and planning them at my house, at Uncle Rick's house, at Uncle Bill and Uncle Griffo's house. These conversations were they were had, and like things don't just fall into place. And this is where community, we're lucky to have grown up around these strong men. And I don't think our old men actually get the credit that they deserve, because we're actually living off the spoils of those them planning where we were going as a people.
It's a lot of hard work, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, wonderful. It was
It's a
wonderful.
lot of hard work. You couldn't even imagine, you know.
Yeah, so Ronnie, his dad, he was wonderful. We had some wonderful coaches and players over the years in Newcastle. Shillo was a great one. He's my older cousin, like an older brother. He was wonderful. He coached Central Charlestown in the 80s. That was unheard of in the 80s for a blackfella to coach a first grade Newcastle team. He got that. So a lot of the lads were all playing there, and that was 87. Off the back of that, they were really strong Newcastle then, and that was when we ended up winning in 87 in Armidale, and so that rivalry was still there, Newcastle and Armidale, and then you guys come to, I think it was 88, Walgett. You guys won 3 in a row from Newcastle. And that's when you fellas got that big run, and that was a wonderful team. But Newcastle sort of, there was a few different things, local politics and amongst our community, and then we end up going our own way, the Yowis, 93, and then, and then a few split knockouts, I think, after that. And then that was when, I think the NAB ended up breaking away from the other Newcastle mob. But all us Newcastle teams, Newcastle Emus, Uncle Bob Smith, as my nan's brother.
But
my
you
nan.
had to have built something for those teams to split. It was strong enough.
Oh, it was
You know
strong
what I
enough.
mean? The foundation was built, and it was only, and there was so many good footballers that they had to be playing, and they all
wasn't
can't fit
enough.
into
It was no
18.
longer
They all
enough,
can't
right.
fit into 25 men's
It's
squad.
100%. And you're
And-
exactly right.
And it looks bad in some ways if you look at it like, but it was destined.
Well-
They built such a foundation that
It was a blessing.
yeah,
When you look back at
look at
it
the good
now,
sides now.
we've got probably over 40,000 Aboriginal people in Lake Macquarie, Newcastle, and the Hunter. So we're second largest population outside of Western Sydney, so in New South Wales. So we're fortunate enough to have heaps of players in Newcastle, and that's the good thing about us. And us being community teams, we look for first and foremost local followers. But if we can't get them, we'll whatever. But there's so many. It's a good Newcastle competition as well.
Strong.
So it's probably the best in country New South Wales, and yeah, we're fortunate enough to have the foundations of the boys playing in a good comp all year, and yeah, and
Your
us,
families have built that though.
our families,
So he's getting the spoils of hard work.
yeah, off our elders. My nan was Alice, and that's the Yowis, and then Uncle Bob, he was Newcastle Emus, and then Uncle Bill, he was NAB. It's all the Briggs boys, and Will Smith, that's their grandfather. So all our grandparents, 3 grandparents, and they were all from a little place called
Minder
Woolbrook.
boys. Minder, a big
Minder,
going,
yeah.
had a heap going there for a while.
Minder River, well, that's my mum's
Yeah.
younger brother, Uncle Rick. He run the coaching clinic, so
14.
he started Minder River. So Maitland, I think it's a city. There's a lot of blackfellas up there, Maitland now, coming from all over. It's a resettlement place, so we've got a lot of potential up there with good strong competitions up there as well.
I remember when the Yowis started to come to the fore as a team, and Owen Craigie, Leo Denver was some of the names. Ash Gordon was one of the early stars there. Jason Edwards, he was another one I remember. Edward and Malcolm.
Yeah.
Like, tell us about them as footballers. And is that when you started to, because this is sort of around your generation as a player now coming in.
Yeah.
That's when you started to get these real good sides together there.
Yeah, no, we had some wonderful. So it was off the back of those 70s and 80s teams, and then you have my generation, a bit older, Ash Gordon and Jason Edwards, and Jason played. Well, Ash was the first.
Unbelievable Jason Edwards.
Yeah, well, Ashley was the first ever player signed to Newcastle Knights when they come in the comp, and being an Aboriginal player as well. But he grew up across the road from me. Like Ash's dad, Uncle Ronnie Gordon, he ran Kirinari Aboriginal Hostel at Garden Suburb. So the Gordons and my dad, Uncle Ron, were really close mates, and they ended up building houses across the road from each other at Cardiff. So that was when sort of everyone, all the mob, everyone sort of, we all started moving into the area Cardiff there, and now it's just heaps of blackfellas all live in Cardiff and around that area. But that generation, like Ashley being a great player, and then Jason Edwards signed with the Newcastle Knights, and Jace played country, I remember one year, and he got signed from Toronto to the Knights, but I think he scored 4 tries playing country first. He was a freak, Jason. He's one of the greatest, and he's part of that Tinga bloodline, Jason. So his mother come down from Tinga, Auntie Doris, but Jason's related to Greg Inglis, Owen Craigie, Preston Campbell, Nathan Blacklock, PJ Ellis. Those
French,
Jason was an absolute freak. He scored 4 tries that day, and he ended up getting picked up by the Knights, but the Canberra Raiders wanted him as well. And just different. Yeah, he could have been one of the greats, but he didn't leave Newcastle, Jace. He did for a little bit, and then he ended up coming back. But that generation, Edward and Malcolm. Edward's been a great player over the years, and Malcolm too. So we were sort of like the late 80s after them older fellas all started slowing down, and then we all sort of started coming in after that. And but we ended up separating. We split. So our generations, all our teams, were all sort of like the start of the Yowis, and so we had to build that thing, like you said, culture for our clubs in the 90s. 93, I think we left, and we made the grand final in 97. So we had a good, strong culture. Gavin Cook, me, Willie Baker was a gun. So
Yowis?
Yeah, Yowis. So we got beaten by Nambucca, and I think it was a very close game. 10-4 we got beaten, a couple of decisions there from our players, and just didn't go our way, and yeah, we could have changed things, but Nambucca, they were great team.
Great team.
Yeah, great generation of players. Yeah, but we had them that day, and Willie Baker was a freak. He won the Brian Carlson Award, best and fairest player for all the Knights juniors, and that was when he was just running amok. I think we beat Hughes over
Beat us there. You beat no one
semi-finals, eh?
Where is that?
Was it
Nambucca?
At
Yeah.
Nambucca, I remember playing. You had a great side, and you're all young and fit. And Willie Baker,
Yeah.
Lakey was in that
Yeah,
team as a
Lakey.
young fella too, coming through. Johnny Newman,
Yeah.
and Johnny from Dubbo. There were all these boys that had moved to Newcastle.
They're playing at the Super League side.
Super League or NRL.
Yeah, that was when the Hunter
Mariners.
Mariners. Yeah, yeah.
Johnny Newman was a great footballer.
Johnny was there. Robert Lake was with the Mariners.
Yeah.
Rodney was with the Mariners as well. So Rodney was playing second row that day, and it was just we had a pretty good side that day. And
Les was in there, eh?
Les was there. He was down here at the
He was
Rabbitohs.
good then, Les too. Just
Yeah,
killed it.
Lenny was at the Tigers, Quinlan.
right,
yeah.
yeah.
So we had a good
All
generation.
young blokes, and coming through, and then
Yeah, Gav Cook was fullback.
Groves, I think
country
was Groves
fullback.
part of that side.
Groves was playing NRL.
Footballers, eh?
Never played against Gav Cook.
Yeah, Gav was
Ducked him a
wild.
few times.
Yeah, he was.
He was fierce.
He was fierce, and he had a good swack that day when we played Hughes against him and Bundy.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
mate,
yeah,
that was punch for punch. That one under the goalpost, eh?
The boys
That
got
was
in a bit
crazy,
of a
that fight. And
We
then,
had a couple of fights. I remember I actually threw a little jab at Johnny Newman in that game. he pushed Danny, did he pushed Dennis, and Dennis was just when Dennis went to hit him, I'd already sort of thrown a little jab at him. So it was only punch I've ever thrown in a knockout at Johnny Newman back in those days. But yeah, that Yowis side then you could see they were building into something good, and they probably should have won a knockout in that '90s sort of era. They were that good. That's when they started. And this is where you know your success. That's when they started, where everyone started to dislike them. Like everyone wanted to hate them because they went up against that Owen Craigie, Brett Grogan. These fellas come a bit later, but Owen Craigie, Brett Grogan, Leo Denover. Then they had the Willie Bakers and all them. So a lot of people who were playing at the night started to come through there with them, and that's when everyone sort of started to go, the Yowis are now the side that everyone hates.
As soon as they seen a team that had a couple of out-of-town players, they'd say stacked.
Well,
and you start don't like them.
Willie Baker, he was you fella's age, right?
He's our
Yes.
age.
I remember him. I remember him staying at home when him and Matt used to play Northwest and that together.
So, bro, you know, when I was a kid, me, Willie Baker, and Matt all played Northwest together as under 11s, under 12s. Yeah, we all played together in primary school.
I tell you,
That was a long time ago, eh?
he was a good player. He was a great ball runner. But I you haven't seen enough of his son. He's a 5-band player. But I'm telling you now, if you get to watch go to knockout, you see him play, just look at his little individual stuff. He's so strong. I'll guarantee you not that he'll palm anyone or hit anyone at the knockout, regardless of size, profile, whatever. You name it. He just shrugs people off just for fun. I watched him play for Koori. I watched him play for. He played for War last year actually, and he's down there playing with Bathurst Panthers at the moment. But young Willie Baker is one of the strongest young footballers going.
You go back to his dad. Now,
Tough man.
I played against his dad in a grand final in SG Ball, and he was the best player the Knights had for a long time.
Yeah.
Tamana Tohu came into that side later, and T would tell you too that Willie was the best player in their junior pathways. And don't know what happened, but Will faded out of the pathways very quickly. But he was, as a youngster, he's up there with the best players that were in the competition at that stage. And I remember his early knockouts, and that particularly that Nambucca knockout, because he's the same age as me.
Yeah.
And he was a real standout.
I think he scored about 3 tries against us that day. It was unreal because he was only 17 at the time, played 5'8". That was when he ended up getting with Lorraine after that grand final. And then, so she was from Nambucca. So me and him hung around after the game. We got beaten, but he ended up linking up. That's where young Willie and that come out of after that
I just
knockout.
seen how good his son is. He's as tough as nails. Tough as nails.
But Lorraine Donovan, his mother, those Donovans, Kiki and that were freaks as well. So we played against them. And Lorraine, she was a great athlete as well. So young Willie's got the best bloodlines, the genetics. And but they were some wonderful players in that generation. Nevy John and that as well for Nambucca. All those Jarrett boys and that, and they were wonderful players. Matt Donovan, who was in the centres, I remember.
Smooth as anything.
Matt and Brett Grogue and Grogs, they had this thing at that time where they'd come up against each other. We'd play against Nambucca, and they just had the best battles, and that was a wonderful, wonderful game. They were just into each other. I think Matt was playing for Penrith at the time in the centres, and Brett playing for the Knights at the time, and
Footballers.
Great footballers.
I remember the Yowis side as you developed as the years go on, a couple of Dubbo knockouts, and it was always an eye on the Yowis. We'd turn up there, and because you had this back line of Willie Baker, Tamana Tahu, Brett Grogan, Leo Denver, Owen Craigie there, and it was like, that's the superstar back line there, and the gun players there, and probably should have won more knockouts than you get. It took a little while to sort of work it out there with it, but tell us about Tamana when he first came into the side there, because he just come out of nowhere really as a footballer, didn't he? And all of a sudden he shot so far ahead of everyone very quickly.
Yeah, well, Tamana, he actually married my niece, so my oldest niece, Casey, and he married. They've been school sweethearts since they were 15, them two, and then so he actually come into our team. He was a young fella. He played that year in 97. That was his debut that year. So I think we had him in the centres or on the wing. No, he was on the bench. He was actually on the bench that day. So, but he played unreal. Him and Willie. So we started Willie at 5'8", but we just said let's just let Willie run the show, and that's what Willie did. Him and John in the halves, and they just tore teams apart.
Not a bad combination.
Johnny
Newman out west, mate. You could sell a dummy like no tomorrow. He's like Cliffy Lyons when he ran across field, and then he hit the speed and
Johnny was
dart his way through. But he's so skillful.
Johnny was a freak.
He could still do it now.
Yeah, and we had we were lucky enough because of Brett Grogan. Grogs' auntie was, or one of our aunties, Auntie Esther, Kim, moved up to Cairns, and she married Brett's uncle. So Auntie Esther coming from Armidale. So we had the family connections with Brett. As soon as he come to Newcastle, he linked straight in with all of Auntie Esther's mob, all of us. So we were told we brought Brett in, and he was just part of the mob. And then he stayed with us over the years, Brett. And then so we ended up building that link with Brett and Brett's dad, Uncle Hilary, up north in Cairns, and that's when we started getting a few lads from up that way. We had Porpoise 4 Mile, so he played second row for us. He was a freak, Porpoise. He's from Yarrabah, and we had some good players come from Cairns and also Mackay, because
a lot of good footballers out of that area, right?
Well, we had Rodney and Aaron Barber. They used to come down and play with us too. So they were freaks, Rodney and Aaron. Aaron was unreal. So Ben used to be our Ben and what's the other? Mum were our ball boys. So they'd come down, and but Aaron and Rodney were great footballers, and we'd put them on the field, and Aaron would be gone. Just get the ball. He was another freak. He was like Willie Baker, sort of give him the ball, he run 100 metres, just tear people apart, and yeah. But we were really fortunate just to have family connections. We had Cairns, Adam Dool, he used to come down. So Adam's sister was actually, she used to work for the old man, Yantine, over the years. And also Brett was married into that family as well in Mackay. So we had the connections to Mackay as well, and just the family connections and all the stuff about us paying all these players to come. And over the years, we'd always get these. That's why I think teams. Well, we get the hate and all that, but people didn't realise it was just family connections that we had, and Brett being there, and he'd all his mob coming from Cairns and Mackay and stuff like that. So we were fortunate enough to have those. We just relied on those Aboriginal family connections, and it was good for us over the years.
How good was it when you got those guys from outside of the clubs and they come in and they just be a standout and they played for the Guernsey? And he just sort of come in last minute, just through mob, connection on connection.
Yeah.
And they just put that work in, and they get players play or whatever that was, you know.
Yeah.
And You know, you could play with one fella in your team for 10 years and he just would do enough, you know, to keep in the side. These fellas could be more privileged to come in and play, and you just loved the effort and how they took that in.
Yeah, well, I remember like those connections. Bobby Blair come into our team over the years. He was only 17. I think he was playing for Penrith at the time. His cousin Clifton Tildora, he come in from Cairns through that connection through Uncle Hilary Grogan. He used to come down every year, and Clifton was a beast. He was awesome, Clifton, and Bobby being his younger cousin, he said, "Can I bring my younger cousin?" So we said, "Yeah, bring him with you." And then we ended up having Bobby. He's a whole career player. He never played with anyone else but us. He's one of those loyal blokes, and we're grateful to be able to get him. But he ended up playing for the Panthers, and he played some heaps of NRL games. He played All-Stars, and then his first cousin he brought with him, Liam Georgetown. So it's just those connections and family, and we've had some good connections with lads and lifelong friends and that. But those wonderful role models, I think it comes down to those older fellas of my generation and that too, which helped us build our culture. So we never got to win a knockout. We went closest in 97. We were beaten the grand final, but we built that culture, and that's what all of our older fellas, we all talk about. That culture was built for us to win. I think it was like 10 years later. And then after, we started winning 12, 13, and 17. So we're grateful for that. And all the old fellas, we're all sort of kick ourselves, but not really, but because we kind of really know that those foundations were laid. We did our part in laying the foundation for the Yowis to.
It went close in 2010.
Yeah.
Now, the big thing is they did start after, I think it was the Bathurst knockout when Minda got that win out there.
Yeah.
And probably a little bit before that, because they were building up to something. And then this Newcastle dominance started of the knockout. You know, it was sort of shared around between Minda and Yowis, and NAB would be three of the sides that were always up there to win.
Yeah.
What did all that feel like? Because the rivalry formed, didn't it, between the three sides there?
Yeah, for sure.
Or mob.
We have our grandparents sitting over on the sideline, and they're all siblings, and it's kind of like, but we've, we got, well, there was rivalry between and Minda. Obviously, that was my mum's brother's team, my mum. So us and Minda, and then us and NAB, and then NAB and Emus, and then it just, the whole thing, it was kind of like, you grow up,
played each other too.
Steel sharpens steel, really, at the end of the day. And it's like, that's how you're all brought up. You fight with each other, and it's not fighting with each other. It's kind of like, it's just hard men and hard women, and that's how you're brought up. And it's like, if you see your grandparents all, that's how they are. They're tough, and they're not going to take a backward step from each other. And it's kind of like, we all grow up the same, and that's strong men, strong women, and that's what builds strong communities. And we pride ourselves in our families, and we talk about that. And it's, so we had a good run, and as you know, it's generations of players. Like when you get a good generation of players, and a lot of the time when you have kids, your brothers and your siblings have kids, your cousins all have kids. It's like you all have kids at the same time, and that's how we benefit in our communities. Our knockout teams, we've got a heap of boys the same age, heaps of girls at the same age, and they become good at playing footy. And we're so passionate about playing footy, our communities and families, and it's a positive, it's a positive way of life. So we're fortunate around that time, 12, 13, right through. We were in the semis, or NAB are in the semis, or Emus are up there in the semis, and Minda River. I think they lost 3 knockouts. And then they won. Oh, they played 5. They lost 4. They played 5 in a row. They lost 4, and they won 12. So we're all glad that they won, but we ended up beating them the next year, and it was our rivalry with them. I think we played them 2 or 3 grand finals in a row. They won. We won 2. Yeah.
And then we beat it both.
Yeah.
DJ Faulkner's off here to the side.
DJ giving some great
He's
stuff.
going to get on
Not
camera.
yet.
He refused to get on, But he's given all the info.
It's great stuff, right? Because I feel from watching it from the outside that Minda got that first win. Yowis went after them, and you's got them, and then NAB come after you guys as well, and you drove NAB. NAB don't win it without the Yowis pushing them. And they had some hard defeats there and stuff over the years, and they had to climb up, and then they got their wins, and then they started their role. But it's this power of that Newcastle football, and like you said, it comes from brothers and family. It's great. Hey, keep going.
Well, I think the year before when NAB and Yowis played in the quarterfinals, that you smacked them on the last game on a Sunday, and then the year after they might have knocked you off to get into the grand final.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like
You
you said,
beat him in the grand final.
when you
You
said,
had a good go with him to Raymond Terrace too, didn't
that's
you?
what I'm saying. Like
That was the one, was it? Yeah. It was a good go. That one.
yeah,
Two or three.
the year before.
Yeah.
And he signed up for us up, and then Scotty kicked it out from the restart to the prime up.
Scored off a bomb under the post.
Oh, you're not on the mic, are you? Fuck. What did he say again? Come here and say it. Come put your head on here and say it. No, you're saying that in the
It was set up from the year before when they.
Tell us about it, because
that's one of the great games.
and there was some great players. You're talking about good knockout footballers
welcome
here.
Dallas Faulkner. Welcome.
Yeah, no, it was in 2012. We played them both times, 2012 and 13, and we beat them. And then 2014, it was a semi-final, and they were ahead the whole game. And then we come back, and AJ kicked the conversion from the sideline, put us in front.
Home and O's.
Yeah, we thought we were home. It was 90 seconds to go, and then Scotty from the kickoff kicked it, and I think it did it go? I think it went out. He kicked
And
it
then they
straight
get the ball back.
along the ground and bounced over Dane Gago's head.
Forced a scrum.
Forced a scrum, and then from the scrum, Scotty's put a bomb up. Our wingers dropped it. Aaron or Matt run through, picked it up, put another kick in, and they've scored.
Scotty Briggs, what a player.
Typical knockout fashion.
Clutch moment, Scott. Not the first time that Scott's done that. He kicked a goal from the sideline against Narn one day.
He done it against Walgett too.
Thanks for that, DJ. We've been waiting for you all episode.
Thanks to Scotty Briggs for ruining a lot of knockouts for us.
There's some names there, right? There's some names.
What a
and
gun.
Some of them are your cousins, and some of them are the rivals in the other teams. Bronny had some great players in minute. It was some of your favourite players out of all those sides. I know the Yowis ones particularly. Give us your Yowis favourite players that really sort of got there, and then go into these other two Newcastle sides if you can.
Some of the Yowie players over the years, we've had some good players over the years. Obviously, Porpoise Brian Formile from Cairns, we're really grateful for him over the years. He really helped set the platform for the culture that hard work and grinding effort that we sort of pride on ourselves. The Yowies, we used to be a bit loose, but Brian actually settled everything down for us, and I think it was the old culture of I'll go out and soften teams up and have them sort of footy culture of mentality of the 80s. It sort of went out, and I think Minda River sort of showed us that with their grinding attitude of just grinding. People coming in with the swinging arms, they didn't care. They just got up, played the ball, and I think we took that on as well. Brian was great at that for us. He was a great one. Obviously, Willie Baker was great. T was a freak for us. He was a backbone for our team for many years. Tamana, he led our team to our grand final wins, 12, 13, 17. He did everything in rugby league, as far as playing for New South Wales, Knights, Parramatta, Australia,
Union.
Dual International, Wallabies. And he finished up with Indigenous All-Stars. I think he played for the Māori All-Stars as well. So he's one of the freaks of our game. I think they were talking about he was like the prototype from the NRL, how they modelled that next generation of centre. And then he was a prototype. And then Greg Inglis,
I was going to say
Israel Folau, they all started getting a build from Tamana, and he was a freak at the time. He was the best centre in the game. You'd know that, T.
Who'd Greg Inglis play his first knockout game with?
Greg Inglis played with us in 03. He played with us 03, Grego. So
Straight out of
Grey out,
Koori, yeah.
well, I think we got beaten in the quarterfinals by Newcastle Emus. That was when NAB and Newcastle Emus was combined. So they beat us. Or might have been the semis because quarterfinals. It was Saturday at Maitland. Yeah, they beat us that day. But Grego was fullback. He was 16 or 15. He was a freak. No, they couldn't stop him. He was so powerful. A strong kid. And I remember his dad saying to me, "Look after him out there today." And I said, "Oh, yeah, right, eh?" And he didn't need no looking after, that kid. He come out there and he was unreal. And we knew there was something special. He was living in Newcastle at the time, living at Kirinari Aboriginal Boys Hostel. He used to drive my car around as a kid. I let him drive my car around and that. And I forgot all about that. He said, "Remember when you used to drive me? I used to drive your car around." I said, "Oh, I can't remember." He said, "Yeah, all us boys used to. You give me the keys." So, but we built a good relationship. Yeah, with Greg. Yeah, Greg.
Designated driver.
Yeah, Dezo, 15, 16. But he
Well,
was.
Albert Kelly, Wes Patton, Adrian Davis, when they come into the team, they're a bit of
Yeah.
they had as in the halves. And Albert came up with a special moment, didn't he, when he kicked that field goal?
Oh well, you know what? Like what you're saying there, those guys. But Wes was the one that actually gave us the blueprint to win the knockouts. So, and I know there is. People don't realise it, but there is a blueprint to win the knockouts, and that's that belief. And to be honest with you, Wes was the one that showed us how to win, and taught us how to win.
It's like the Benny Barber of Walgett.
Well,
They can convince you to be better than you.
convince you to be better than you are, and
Pull everyone together. That's his
pull
key.
us together. And he showed us how to win. And
Any spirit.
people probably don't realise that there's a way to win a knockout, and you have to know how to win a knockout. There's a formula. You can have the best team on paper, and we had the best team on paper for years, the Yowis, but we didn't know how to win a knockout. You can have the Indigenous All-Stars run out there on a field with jumpers on, you still won't win a knockout because it takes more than just the best players. It takes culture of a club. It takes unity. There's so many different factors that people don't understand to win a knockout. And Wes gave us that. Wes taught us that. And
Matt, George, and Trent did it. Dino and Dennis.
yeah, well, they all knew. They all knew the formula. And it
We got
takes a
taught from
formula.
our fathers. Our fathers won knockouts, and they taught us. And that's what I feel like we were privileged as young fellas in Armidale, that they taught us how to win knockouts. And then the NAB boys probably got a little bit of that from Edward and Malcolm's connection with the now old Clary, and they know what it takes to win knockouts. The Walgett boys know what it takes to win knockouts.
In Walgett.
There's been generations. Redfern, there's a little Redfern crew that know how to win knockouts, and Wes was part of that. And and they do it over repeated generations. And I feel that is a big key to it, is that you got to know what it takes, and it is a bit different to what people think.
You can't just buy a knockout.
No.
And that's been proven over the years. You can buy 20 NRL players, but you're still not going to win the knockout. And they
We say it in the backyard. You say it here off camera. We say it down the pub. Turn up with your best side, guys, but you got to turn up with the winning formula. You don't.
Exactly.
You don't turn up with. You just don't turn up with a star-studded side.
No.
You got to bring fellas in who that you're gonna make other fellas believe they can beat those guys, and those fellas with hunger can do it.
Yeah.
The fellas who come into it with no hunger are not going to feel it. They're not going to create it. They're not. It needs more. It needs to come from your heart. You need to see fellas crying and bleeding before you run out. You know, you can't bring a bunch of fellas in from any organisation and say, "Come on, boys, let's go out and win this knockout," and they're walking out. They're going, "Who am I playing for?"
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can't do that. You can hear it in my voice. You know, we talk to George, we talk to Dino. When you come and play knockout, you're coming to play for your family. You're going to come play for your fans. You come play for your mates next to you. You don't come and play for money. You don't come and play for any accommodation that you're going to get given. All those things are there in a team are there for a team, but the team's got to believe in what you're in.
They're a bonus.
The first person in front of them is the coach or the old fellas running the club, and that's you, Abie and Wok. You and Wok.
Abie and Wok, Yowis.
And that fellow over there that's not here. They've got to see the passion that comes from you fellas, that you've been taught, what you're being taught, what you're being taught. And that's what Matt does to his players. When we play in the knockout with Walgett, he's ruthless. He says, "Boys, You got to believe in what I'm saying, otherwise you're not here next year. And they come with the right attitude. You don't have to give them $1.
Tell me this one. When we've seen a lot of cool teams across the years of the knockout. I reckon the Yowis is one of the coolest names that we've got in knockout teams, the Newcastle Yowis. How did the Yowis name get picked?
The Yowis name, Dad loved the Yowie, the stories about when he was a kid. So he talks about when he was a kid, when our grandparents, my nan used to talk about it, and their siblings and stuff like that. So that name's an Anawan word, Yowie, and it talks about the little hairy men. And when Dad used to talk about when they was all kids and sitting around outside, and old people would say, don't you go, when they're at night time running around around the fire and stuff, and they'd say, don't go running off too quick there, you'll see you see that other little fella, he'll be the extra one there running around with you, and he'll coach us off.
Always got to frighten you around the fire too.
Yeah. So Dad used to talk about that when the old people, when they'd sit around and they'd be having a cuppa and yarning and playing around, running around outside as kids at night time and those yarns. So he talked about that, and he said, we're going to call ourselves the Yowis. And we knew there was the Mully Yowis, and they were the Yowis before us, but we made the name cool. No, love and respect to the Mully Yowis, but yet they were the original Yowis. But that's our story, and that's an Anawan word. And Dad's family are from up in the New England tablelands there, and same as Dino and that. So so we went with that name, and we were happy to take that name on, and that keeps our connection to back the country. So Dad was he was really passionate about that, and so it was just it was just something.
You're talking about your dad, and Uncle Jimmy he's got a big history in the knockout, but probably one of the most emotional wins I've seen was that Leichhardt Oval.
Yeah.
From the Yowis.
Yeah.
It give me goosebumps now thinking about it, because I know Dennis played, and it meant a lot to Dennis for Dennis to play with Yowis, and I could see how much it meant to everyone to play for you. What did that feel like, that Leichhardt Oval win for you?
Oh, Dad tried for so long to win the knockout. He said, my last thing, he said, my dying wish is to win the knockout. And that was, he said, you can do anything, but just give me a knockout, boys. And we were like, how do we win a knockout? And that's when I was yarning with Wes about it. And Wes had come and helped us win the knockout for Dad. So, but we were grateful that Dad saw the knockout, win the knockout in 12 and 13. He'd passed by that time. And for us to win the knockout in 17 was really special for us, because it was hard for us, because a big chunk out of our knockout was gone, which is the heart of the Yowis was gone. He tried so hard for so long, but it was really special for us to be able to win the knockout. 17, that was great. Dennis coming and playing with us, because Dennis is family for us, and Dennis being very close with Uncle Barry too. So Dennis's uncle, his dad's or his pop's brother. So Uncle Fox, and as you get older, you seem to come back together with your older siblings. And Uncle Barry and Uncle Fox was always there, and Uncle Fox wanted Dennis to play with Uncle Barry and Dad, and over the years, and so Dennis sort of coming to the later age in his life, he said, I'm going to come play with you, cousin. Yeah.
Or that Dad played that year. It's in left.
Yeah.
Or Rock Fox and Barry. But there's 27-8 played.
So we all were playing for Narwhal, and Narwhal actually got the easiest draw ever in a knockout. They had, in a modern day knockout, they got 2 byes in the first 2 games, the Narwhal side. So you can imagine what that would be like. They had a bye in the first round, and then they got a forfeit in the second round. That's the team there was 2 teams that didn't turn up to the knockout, and no one drew to play them after they get a bye. So they had this really lucky draw where they weren't going to play the 2 games. We were up there training for it. We had a great side for it. Everyone was building up for it. Dennis and Jade and Alistair were all playing with that, and I was playing with them, my nephews, and then the boys up back home blew up about everything. So it was only a couple of days before the knockout, and Den goes and rings the boys, and he goes to him and Jade and Alistair go and play with the Yowis, and they end up winning it. And I end up going playing with Redfern at the last second, and
Wow.
it was disappointing. That's probably when Narwhal sort of crumbled a little bit and fell apart, and it was emotional time. And
Jump in.
Jump in, he's back again.
Jump back in and tell my version, because Roo, my younger brother, who's married to Dean's cousin, he was in Armidale when they were training. So Roo's like the quiet one out of the family, and everyone likes Roo and everyone loves Roo. But we were at the hospital, and Nam was in hospital at the time, and nothing major, but Nam was in hospital, and Roo rings to check on us and see what's going on. So, well, yeah, no, she's all good. What's happening? He goes, oh, no, and he doesn't gossip, but I think Narwin's splitting. I think Dean's going to take the boys back to Redfern, and Den might be going with him. I said, all right, huh? He said, yeah, Den's going to go to Redfern with Dean. I said, all right, I'll let Uncle Wok know. So I let Uncle Wok know, and then an hour later, Den and Jade are coming back to the Yowis.
You prick, because that's right, he did. Dennis told me. Yes,
It was Roo's fault. It was Roo's fault.
Actually, I forgot that. Dennis actually told me, because I said to him, come and play with me at Redfern. I'll go to Redfern. And Dennis said yes to me. He said, yeah, he goes, look, I'll come with you. He goes, we'll come, me, Jade, all of us. We're all going to go. Matty Pittman, we're all going to go and play with Redfern. And we'd had a great side, Redfern.
yeah.
But then I remember about an hour later, Dennis, for some reason, rings me back and goes, no, I'll change my mind. I'm going to go and play with the boys. So, Roo, are you a little quiet little
You
fella?
got a Princey on you.
Yeah, it did. I've forgotten all about that. He told me before that he was going to come and play Redfern. Because the funny thing was, he actually played with us at Redfern down in the Canberra knockout. He came down. He really enjoyed it amongst the boys.
Yeah.
So
And then 2 weeks later, he's gone.
2 weeks. No, this was 2 days.
2 days.
This is a couple of days before the knockout. We were going to Redfern, and then he rang me back an hour. We were in Armidale. We were getting the team ready, and we're just about to travel back down to Sydney for the knockout. So then we all jumped ship last second. And I said to him, I said, bro, I can get you in the Redfern side right now to take us all. They'll take me, you, Pitty, Jade, and Jimmy, and we'll all go and play with Redfern. So
Look, depending on what end of it you're on, that's one of the best and worst things about the knockout is you never know who a team's got until the last days, the last moments before they run on. And I know you got to take off very soon, but I want to know, what can we expect from the Yowis this year?
Oh, like Ronnie's coaching. So Ronnie's been coaching the last couple of years. He come back to the Yowis, and we're grateful to have him back with us all and with the mob. So, it's going to be a big year for the Yowis. We lost Mum only a month ago, so everyone's really, it's going to be a big year for all the girls. They're all pumped. I don't have too much to do with it these days. Just in the background, my nephew's pretty well run it. So Deej and Code and all the boys.
What can we
Hey,
expect?
he's walking
Dave?
away now. Look,
So-
he's walking a long way away.
He's walking away
following
with
it in.
nephew DJ, but
He doesn't want to tell anything.
and Ronnie. But they pretty well run things. Wok's in the background as well. So it's going to be special. You're talking about that yarn there with Dino. We got Uncle Barry to ring Dennis too to get him over the line, and we lost Uncle Barry last year too. So I know everyone's pumped to bless blessings for Uncle Barry and Auntie Zelma and all the family as well. So hopefully we can just everyone plays good, and it's going to be a great knockout. We're looking forward to it, and being back out on Gomeroi country, we've got family connections from there. So you fellas as well. We're grateful that you've taken it back out there on country, and hopefully we'll be competitive. So
They're favourites. They're favourites.
I've got one fellow there that we probably forgot about. We said in the last segment that talked about young guns who to expect to come and shine at the knockout, and I'm thinking young fellows played for the Knights this year again with McEwen is Fletcher Hunt. Now he played for the Yowis last year.
He was good last year too.
Yes, and I watched him play in the Dubbo knockout before that, and he was exceptional. And then we've seen him play for the Knights in the few games he's played for a rookie. He's outstanding. So is he going to play for the Yowis again? Does anyone know here?
I don't know. Like
Does
I'm
someone
not
else
sure.
The Googars-
DJ took off.
DJ.
He knew.
The Googars are back, so he's got that Warren Dubbo connection too.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if he goes and plays with them as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they are that connected, but coming from that area, he could. But
Yeah.
if he was with the Yowis again after another, what about Fletcher Hunt over there, Mr. Selector?
You just have to wait till the Saturday.
Depends if you lose all your players Friday night, eh?
Look, I reckon it'll be one of them ones that we've got to
Watch
wait
him,
and
mate.
find out to the last
him.
minute. No one's going to know until we see him run out. But I appreciate you coming in and sharing today. I do hope that it's a great year for the Yowis this year. I know you've got a lot to play for, and I appreciate all the yarns that you've shared here. I reckon we could have kept going. If you didn't have to take off, I know we could have kept going with a lot more yarns, but there's some great Newcastle history and Yowis history that you shared with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and good luck for the knockout. I know it's a massive job to organise, and you guys are doing a wonderful job in what you're doing. And I know from our club, we're really grateful for what you're doing, the professionalism that you bring in, and it's you've got to look after 40,000 people that are coming there for the weekend, and you've done a massive job over the last couple of years, and just want to congratulate you for what you're doing. And I know it's going to be to the level of professionalism that we need to keep growing at. And thanks again, and good luck for the knockout. Good luck for Walgett. I know you're the champs for a reason, and it's going to be a hell of a team to knock yous off. We know that, and yeah, yous have won 3 now, I think, and who knows, yous could be 4.
Yeah. You know, I'd love to win 4.
That would be massive. That puts yous up there with the Wezzers, the Nembuckers, and the old Walgett. Yous are freaks, you Walgett followers. Yous are guns, all right.
No, well, thank you for joining us, and we just want to make sure that we put on a great weekend and everybody's enjoying it. But thank you for tuning in again to the Koori Knockout podcast. There's going to be plenty more yarns coming up very soon.
Up the Yowis.
Ah,
Yowie.